learning environments, what they are, and why they might be useful. A Pontedusky comic book. Our schooling systems emerged during the First Industrial Revolution, and so it should be no surprise that our schools looked like factories. They were designed on the basis of factories. Students sat in rows. The teacher or factory monitor sat at the front. Bells were like factory hooters, telling us when to start work and when to finish work. But now society is undergoing a new industrial revolution, an industrial revolution which is changing all the ways we live, an industrial revolution based on digital technologies. And of course, computers are changing the way we are learning and the way we are creating and sharing knowledge. But it's not that new technology as such which poses such a challenge to the educational systems. It's the changing ways in which not just young people, but all people are using technology for leisure through games, for communicating through Twitter, through JQ, through Facebook, through all kinds of different programs, and especially through mobile phones, and the way we are sharing, and especially the way people are using social technology, not just for consuming knowledge, but for creating and sharing different artifacts, creating films, creating podcasts, creating photographs, and sharing all those different things. Now, the reaction of our education systems has at best been bewilderment, but more often it's hostility. Think of how in all our countries, young people carry around small, portable, mobile devices called telephones, very powerful mini computers, and the reaction of all our education systems is to tell them to turn it off and go to our lessons. Now, of course, we do have educational technology, lots of educational technology, but most of that technology is actually designed to help manage learning, not to facilitate learning and not to help us share that learning. And most of that technology ignores the informal learning which takes place every day. I think it was Jay Cross who said probably about 85% of learning is informal, but we've only focused on the formal 15% of our learning. Now, what's the answer to these issues? What's the answer to that mismatch between the way we're learning and the way our educational systems are operating? Well, I think it may be something new called personal learning environments. What is a personal learning environment? Well, the idea behind a personal learning environment is learners choose and configure their own tools for learning. We don't force them into our spaces, into the educational spaces, into the virtual learning environments, but we recognise that they have their own tools and they can configure their own tools to use their own spaces for learning. And the idea is that learners can develop their own networks of friends, but also networks of peers and communities of practice for sharing knowledge, as well as accessing institutional sites where they get formal knowledge. Personal learning environments recognise that learning takes place in different contexts, in the school, yes, but also in the home and critically in the workplace. And that learning takes place over a period of time, lifelong learning. Personal learning environments can help in recognising informal learning. Now, recognition of informal learning is not just somebody else seeing and giving us a certificate for that, but us understanding and seeing the learning which we've done, seeing the things that we've done and recognising what we can learn from that everyday activity. And perhaps most critically of all, personal learning environments are not owned by our schools, are not owned by our institutions, are not owned by our government, but personal learning environments are owned by us, the learners. And for me, perhaps the biggest promise of personal learning environments is to extend opportunities for learning to everyone. Up to now, we've used educational technology to extend the facilities for learning to those who already got it. We've moved educational technology into the institutions and said, if you're enrolled on a course, you can use this software, this opportunity for learning. But perhaps the biggest opportunity with PLEs is to say to all those people who are not enrolled on a course, who are not part of an educational institution, this is your personal learning environment. This was a Pontedusky Studios production. Words and concepts by Graham Maxwell and Adrian Puskuta. Thanks to all the people who contributed pictures to the Creative Commons Flickr archive which have been used in this film. The video is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial License.